What's up, everybody? So today I thought it would be fun to do another analysis on some of my worst investments and my best investments, both in one video. The 2026 edition of this. I have done these types of videos in the past, but it's always changing, right? As collectibles go up or down in value, and it's really kind of just a fascinating thing to look at, and sometimes you could learn something about like what you should, if you're going to buy a card, you're going to spend a lot of money. Like, what are some of the things that you could take away from the hobby? So now, one way that you can, the nice thing is I have my entire collection is documented in an application called Vintage Card Prices, VCP. Great tool, by the way. And so every card that I've ever purchased over the last 10 to 15 years, I put in the cost, and it tracks for me how much, what the value of the card is. And it's easy for me to track, okay, here's how much I paid, here's what it's worth today. One way that I could look at this, by the way, is purely net profit and net loss, right? And I decided maybe that's a whole other separate video, by the way, net loss versus net profit. If I were to look at purely, net loss, the worst investment I ever made was I think it's the 1986 Mike Tyson Panini sticker card that I have in a PSA 8. Bought that during COVID, and it's way down from when I bought it. And then my best investment would be the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. No surprise there. So, but yeah, so here what I decided instead to do was based on percentage, purely percentage, like percentage up or percentage down. The reason I like to do this is because then like the lower end cards could still have a crack at being in the top 10 or the bottom 10. So without further ado, I'm going to basically go back and forth. So at number 10, worst investment that I've ever made, believe it or not, this is kind of surprising, is the Fernando Tatis 2019 Topps Sapphire Fernando Tatis. And what I love about collecting is like I can remember when I even thought about even buying this card. It was during COVID. I remember I got hit with COVID. I was not feeling well. And what I used to do is I would take walks outside to just kind of get like a fresh air. For whatever reason, that made me feel better. And I remember while I was walking, I was like, oh man, I feel terrible. I was like, what'll make me feel better is buying a Fernando Tatis Sapphire card. And while it did make me feel better short term, long term definitely wasn't a great pickup. And if, for those of you that know, COVID, during COVID, certain card prices went skyrocketing up. Fernando Tatis was, the big name at that time. And I spent $1,150 on this card in a PSA 10. It is now worth $204. So a $945 net loss. And it is down 82.26% from the time I bought it. So needless to say, not a top 10 worst investment for me, percentage-wise. At number 10, best investments. So the 86 Fleer Michael Jordan, I bought this card. I was fortunate enough to pick up a lot of cards before the COVID boom. These cards specifically really took off, again, during COVID, during that Jordan documentary. His cards absolutely exploded. But before then, I had picked up this card, this beautiful PSA 6. And I remember buying this and thinking I overpaid. I did overpay for it because it was a really nicely centered PSA 6. But at the time I overpaid for it. At the time, so it's a $650 card is what I paid for it. And now in a PSA 6, I have the latest comp at $6,000. So that is a net profit of $5,350 and an 823% increase from where I bought it at. So, for those of you that maybe are new to the hobby or whatever, you definitely can't go wrong. And people say it all the time, Jordan, Mickey Mantle, there's like certain like goats within the hobby that maybe short term they'll go down. You never know short term what's going to happen, but long term, like if you can get your hands on an 86 Fleer Jordan in any grade, you can never regret it. It's always a great investment. At number 9 for cards, now a lot of these are going to look familiar. If you watch my videos, a lot of these are going to be pretty familiar. Not much changes a lot of times with the cards that are my worst investments. Jorge Mateo. So many years back, the Yankees had this prospect, Jorge Mateo. At one point, he stole, I don't know, he had like 90 stolen bases in the minor leagues, and Yankees were looking for a new center fielder. I thought Mateo might be the next guy, and I spent $155 on this card. I remember I got it ungraded, so I want to say that I paid $140 and then $15 on grading fees. I was thrilled to get a PSA 10, but paid $155. It is now worth $25. And that is an 83% decrease from what I bought it at, unfortunately. At number 9 for cards that I've done really well on, you guys are going to see a theme here, right? Ken Griffey Jr., I think he falls right in line with the, those really just guys that just always go up in value. Ken Griffey Jr., Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth. There's just certain collectible players in the hobby, and Ken Griffey Jr. is no different. I bought this card. Wow, looking back at this, I paid $50 for this in a PSA 10. It was already graded in a PSA 10, and now it goes in this card. Even though it's not it's not a Tiffany or anything, it's just like the base Bowman in a PSA 10. And I don't know, like if you collected like I did, growing up in the 80s. I have so many of these cards and they're in awful condition. So to have this in a PSA 10 is pretty cool. This card now goes for about $465, and it's up 830% from what I bought it at. All right, at number, what are we at? Number 8 is Chris Bryant. So 2014. I talk about this card a lot. It's weird because I bought this card before he won Rookie of the Year, before he won a World Series with the Cubs. And it just goes to show, and I point this out every time I talk about this card, that even if you are right in prospecting, you could end up losing a lot of money. So I bought this card when his cards were through the roof. I spent $500 for this card in a PSA 10. The latest sale on this is $79.20. That's incredible how low this card has come down. And that is a $420 drop in value and an 84%, down 84% from what I bought it at. So obviously very disappointing on that side. Alternatively, and I think what this shows is collect what you love, and sometimes it just works out. So if you guys watch my channel, you know that Donald Arthur Mattingly from Evansville, Indiana, is my favorite baseball player of all time. It kills me every time he goes up for the Hall of Fame and he doesn't get in. I don't know what the Hall of Famer voters are doing, but this, in the 80s, this was the card to collect. The 84 Don Russ, Don Mattingly, and then to get it in a PSA 10 was one of the first things when I got back into the hobby that I was like, I have to get this card. And at the time, I spent $515 for it. I thought I had overpaid for it. Now it's worth $4,835. It is up 838% from what I bought it at. And by the way, guys, I'm not talking I didn't buy this 25 years. Maybe 8-9 years ago. So it's up 838% over an 8-year period. So obviously doing really well with the Don Mattingly. At number 7 is another guy for the Yankees that I was prospecting on, Gary Sanchez. So this is his blue refractor. I paid $500 for this card. I actually got it ungraded and then got it graded. It came back as a PSA 9. Believe it or not, I like the latest. There was an SGC 9 blue refractor auto that sold for $75. So I used that as my comp. But either way, it's down 85% from what I bought it at. So Gary Sanchez has had a decent career, but obviously, once he left the Yankees, a lot of that aura went away. Another card that I had to have, if you guys, one of the videos that has the most views is my, greatest errors of all time video. And I remember in order to make that video, I bought this card. I was like, well, I got, if I'm going to talk about the greatest error cards of all time, I have to own the Billy Ripken FF error and a PSA 10. And so I picked this card up just for that video. And I also love this card. It's like, one of those cards that, like, if you grew up in the 80s, you had to have the Bill Ripken. And it was very hard to find. Needless to say, this card, I bought this card for $85. It is now worth, I feel like I'm almost reading this incorrectly. I don't know if this comp makes any sense. $871 was the latest comp on a PSA 10 FF error. It is up 924% from what I bought it at. So, you guys, some of these 80s cards are just absolutely crazy. At number 6 for worst cards, Luis Robert. So, I paid $54 for this. It's not like a huge, I didn't spend a ton of money on this. But the latest comp on this is $6.50, making it down to 87, almost 88% on the Luis Robert. And for those of you, again, another guy that was really popular during COVID, and I paid $54 for this card. It's now worth $6 at an SGC 9. At number 6 for cards that I've done really well on, so this Shohei Ohtani, let me see here. I spent $100 on this card. So I bought this card from somebody, I think in Japan. I bought it, before Ohtani came to America. I was hoping that he was going to sign with the Yankees. And that's why I bought this card, because I was like, he is going to sign with the Yankees. Ultimately, he signed with the Angels, and I remember being baffled. But in hindsight, it seems like he wants to stay on the West Coast. But yeah, spent $100 on this card, and that's with, I got it, sent it off for grading. I think all in all, it was about $100. This card now goes for $1,025. And, anything Ohtani, if you watch any video of guys that have done really well, if you have a lot of Ohtani, you've done really, really well. But this card is up 925%, actually up $925 from when I bought it. At number 5 for worst cards, and I've showed this card off a lot on this channel. Now, this is a card that I bought, I think I was in college or right after college. Spent $300 for this. It was in one of the Gem. There used to be a company called Gem, and there was this bogus company that gave 10s to everything. I cracked it out. Actually, no, I submitted it in the Gem holder. Then they to PSA. They rejected it. Then I cracked it out of the holder, and they gave it a PSA 8. Needless to say, I probably spent I have this as a cost of $300, although I think it's more than that. This is now a $33 card for the A-Rod, and then, of course, with the steroids, so down almost 90%, 89% on the A-Rod card. At number 4 for cards that I've done well on, maybe kind of an odd card. So this card, I think it was like a throw-in. I think I almost got it for free. It was like I bought other cards, and the guy threw this card in. And I submitted this to SGC. It came back as an 8, which is a really, really high grade for a 65 Topps card. And then on top of that, maybe a year or two later, Tony Oliva made it into the Hall of Fame. So between getting a really high grade on this, paying virtually nothing for it, and then him going into the Hall of Fame, worked out nicely for me. So this was, I have this, I spent $25 for this card. It's now, latest comp is $267, so up 971% on the Tony Oliva. At number 4 for worst investments, Aaron Rodgers. So I spent $1,300 on this Aaron Rodgers card. It now goes for $142.50. And the tale behind this was that I had bought the Brady Chrome, and the Brady Chrome had done so well. And then as a hedge, because I remember Brady, when he was with the Buccaneers, was playing against Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game. And I bought this card just in case that Aaron Rodgers won and Brady lost. And then if Aaron Rodgers went on to win a Super Bowl, I was like, I want to own Aaron Rodgers' card. Needless to say, Aaron Rodgers lost that game. And this card has gone plummeting down since, down 89% from what I bought it at. At number 4 for best card I've ever made, purchased percentage-wise, the Bo Jackson Tiffany. So one of the things that I'm also noticing here is the 80s cards have done really, really well. This Tiffany card in a PSA 10, I spent $117. This card, the latest comp on a Bo Jackson Tiffany in a PSA 10 is $1,349. So this card is up 1,052%. Beautiful card. The 80s Tiffany cards are a fantastic investment. You really can't go wrong, but they're starting to get really crazy in price. So Bo Jackson Tiffany in a PSA 10 up to $1,300, up 1,052% from what I bought it at. All right, top 3 cards. I'm just going to show off my top 3 worst, and then we'll do top 3 best. So top 3 worst, Spencer Torkelson, spent $50 on this. Nothing crazy for it, but it is down to $3. The latest, I don't know if this is a comp that makes any sense, but that's what I had. That's the latest comp was $3.28. Somebody got the Sapphire Torkelson, which sounds like a really good deal. $3.28. This card is down 93% from what I bought it at. Gleyber Torres. Unfortunately, I think I brought this ungraded. It came back as a 9. I'm into this for $325. And this one is, I bought it at $325. It's now worth $18, down 94% on the Gleyber Torres. All right, guys, and at number 1, to no surprise, is my boy Greg Bird. I spent $400 on this card. At one point he was going to be the next, first baseman for the Yankees. As a Don Mattingly fan, I was hoping he was going to be the next guy. But yeah, this one, PSA 9, $400. I comped this at $20, and I'm probably overvaluing it. And if we call it $20, it's down 95%, which is the low, the biggest decrease in value from what I bought it at. Top 3 cards. So again, Ken Griffey Jr. This is kind of like the 52 tops of baseball cards. It just goes up and up and up, and specifically in a PSA 10. If you can get yourself a copy of this, I don't feel like you can go wrong. Unfortunately, it's going to cost you a lot of money. I mean, this card, I bought this for $395. It is now going for $4,000. This is the latest comp I have, $4,698.22, which is an increase of 1,089% from what I bought it at. The 89 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. At number 2, best investment ever. It's funny because this, while this is awesome, I had 2 of these and gave one of them, literally just gave it away to one of my subscribers back when I used to do my epic giveaways. Spent $150 for this card. It's now worth $2,000. Shohei Ohtani just keeps doing the impossible, and that makes this card up 1,233%. But my best investment that I've ever made, at number 1, without a doubt, it's not even close actually, is the Aaron Judge 2013 Bowman Chrome Aaron Judge auto. I saw Aaron Judge, I think it was his rookie season. I saw him hit a couple of home runs at Yankee Stadium. I came home that night before I went to bed. I bought this card ungraded. It came back as a PSA 10. I spent $300 altogether on this card. It is now worth $7,930, almost $8,000. It's up 2,543% from what I bought it at. So I don't know is there anything to learn here? I don't know. I think it's a couple of things. It's, stay away from prospecting because that could really burn you in the end. Stay with the GOATs. There are certain cards that just will always go up in value, and collect what you love, because if you collect what you love, a lot of times it ends up being, what other people are going to love as well. So, maybe we learned something. All right, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I will talk to you later.